In this video, I'm going to show you how to place the front brake hose on this Hyundai Sonata. It goes from your brake line down to your caliper. Let's get started. Use a 21mm socket, remove all 5 lug nuts, and then we can pull the wheel off. Just a little note, if yours has hubcaps, when you take the lug nuts off, the hubcap is going to want to come off, so take that off first, then the wheel. From the backside of the caliper, you'll see this 12mm banjo bolt. Let's remove it so that we can break the hose free off of the caliper. Have a collection bucket underneath because fluid will start leaking out of the caliper at this point and the hose. Now I will be pinching the hose off so that it stops leaking, but still the caliper is full of fluid. There we go. Now further in on the knuckle, you'll see where the brake hose attaches to the knuckle with this 12mm headed bolt. Let's remove that. The ABS wire is clamped on top of it too, so we'll have to loosen the whole thing up. Take the bolt out, pull off the brackets. Brake hose is free to move now. Following the brake hose up, you'll see 2 more mounting points, both 12mm headed bolts. Let's remove both of these so we can free up the brake hose from the strut. For this one here, I need to make a little bit more clearance, so I'm going to use a pry bar. There we go. I'm going to use a pry bar and a hammer to try to punch this off. It's stuck on here. There we go. Untangle this brake hose. Following it further up, you'll see where the brake hose connects to the brake line. I'm first going to use an 11mm wrench, flare nut wrench that is, to try to break this fitting free. Sometimes what happens is the fitting will get stuck on the line and then it'll twist the metal line, but you don't want to break it. So if that happens, we're going to just break it free from the threads and then unthread the hose off of the fitting instead of the fitting off of the hose. Once again, 11mm wrench. Try to break this free. This is perfect. It looks like it is not spinning the line. As you can see, the fitting is turning, but the line is staying. Spraying it with rust penetrant can also help. I've already done that. That's why it looks like it's wet. This is not brake fluid. I'm going to work this back and forth just to loosen it up. At this point, brake fluid will leak out of the line, so make sure you have a collection bucket to catch that fluid as it's dripping. Before I fully remove this fitting, let's remove this clip that locks in the hose on this bracket. Using a pry bar, just pry it off. There it is. Now finish removing the fitting. If the hose is stuck in this bracket, use a hammer and tap it. Pull it off. Once again, brake fluid is leaking. Since we're already here, take the new line, slide it in, and let's thread this fitting on. To make it easier, I'm going to clip on the hose onto this bracket. Just tap that clip in and thread the fitting on with your wrench. Make sure you don't cross thread this, of course. That's bottomed out. Just going to give it a little bit extra. That is plenty tight for that fitting. Rinse this off so you can make sure if there is a leak, you can spot it. Right now it's soaked in brake fluid. Let's remove our old brake hose so we can start routing the new one. Keep in mind it goes behind the ABS wire over here. Take the new hose and put it through where the old one went. Let's start resecuring the brake hose, route it behind that sway bar link, and stick this bolt through on this bracket. Get that snugged up. Get this bolt reinstalled on this bracket. Snug this up. Before we secure it on the knuckle, let's secure it on the banjo bolt end just so it can be closed up. Make sure that no copper washer stayed on the caliper. If that's the case, just punch it off. There we go. It's important not to double gasket this. Do the same on the banjo bolt end, and to do that, I'm just going to use some cutters. Cut through that copper washer. It's soft. It won't damage the bolt, but it'll pinch this, and then you'll be able to take that off. Take that off. As long as the banjo bolt is in reusable condition, put one copper washer on, the new one that is, provided with the brake hose. And take the brake hose, slide the banjo bolt through, make sure it's facing the right direction, so with this little pin facing down, and then put on the other copper washer that's going to sandwich the brake hose in between those two. Get it on the caliper and start it on. Let's bottom this out. Torque this bolt to 15 foot-pounds. That's it right there. Basically what you're looking to do is to squish the copper washers, and that's going to create a nice tight seal in between the banjo bolt, the hose, and the caliper. Let's resecure the brake hose on the knuckle over here with the ABS wire bracket on top of it. Put the bolt through both of these. Once you get it started on, snug it up. Once it's bottomed out, just give it a little bit extra. All it needs to do is hold these brackets on. Let's pop open the bleeder screw cap, and with a 10mm wrench, open that up. This is called a gravity bleed. We're going to let air push through the bleeder screw and let the caliper fill up with fluid. This is just done through, of course, gravity pulling this through. Now at this point, this should get most, if not all, of the air out of the system. However, you may still need to do a full manual brake bleed after this is done, and if that's the case, you'll see how to do that at the end of the video. But like I said, this should take care of it. So looks like we already have fluid trickling through with no air bubbles. I'm going to turn this around just in case some air got stuck behind the bleeder screw. I'm going to close this off now. We have a steady trickle of clean fluid. Once again, no air bubbles. Snug this up. Use brake parts cleaner to clean this area off. Cap it off. Let's get the wheel back on. If your wheels had hubcaps, you're going to want to put them on now because the lug nuts go over and clamp everything together. Just make sure you line up the cutout for the valve stem with the valve stem, of course, otherwise it won't fit on properly. And now start in all 5 of your lug nuts. We'll bottom them out and torque them to 79 foot-pounds in a cross pattern to seat the wheel properly. Once again, 79 foot-pounds in a cross pattern. Double check them. The procedure is the same on the other side. Don't forget to pump up that brake pedal, top off the master cylinder, and take it for a road test. Once you locate the master cylinder on the driver's side near the firewall, remove the cap. If there's a lot of dirt around it, wipe it off. Turn it counterclockwise and set it aside. Now let's remove all the old fluid that's in here. Do the best you can. Use a fluid extractor, a vacuum pump, whatever you have that'll get all this fluid out. That's all the brake fluid I'm going to be able to get out of it. Let's stop right there. This braking system takes .3 or .4 brake fluid. I have a .3 bottle right here that I'm going to fill this reservoir with. Let's fill it all the way to the max line. Once it's full, cap it off. We are now ready to start the bleeding procedure. The first caliper we're going to bleed is going to be the right rear caliper. That's the passenger side rear. We then cross over to the driver's side front. That's the left front caliper. Then, of course, top off that master cylinder so you don't run it too low on fluid. Then you go back to the left rear caliper. That's the driver's side rear. Lastly, you do the passenger side front or the right front, and then, of course, top it off again. After you've bled all 4 calipers, if the pedal feels spongy still, you want to bleed again in the same sequence until you're happy with how it feels. We are at the right rear caliper. This is where we're going to start. I'm going to pop off the bleeder screw cap first. Sometimes you can use a little pocket screwdriver for that. And then you're going to use a 10mm wrench to break this free. I also have an assistant in the vehicle ready to pump up the brakes, and they're going to hold pressure after a few pumps. That's going to push the fluid through the system. Additionally, I have a little reservoir with a hose that's going to collect all my fluid. And at this point, we are ready to start. So you can go ahead and pump. All right, they're holding, so I'm going to crack this open. We're going to have, oh, there we go, hit the floor already. We're going to have air and fluid come out. And you can go ahead and pump again. All right, holding pressure. Go again. We're just going to do this until we have no air bubbles and clean fluid coming out of this bleeder screw. All right, pump again. Okay, there are no air bubbles coming out, but the fluid is very dark, so let's go a few more pumps. Pump again. Okay, go again. Go again. All right, you can let go now. Remove this and clean off any brake fluid that may have dripped off. Use brake parts cleaner if needed, and cap off the bleeder screw. And now we're going to move to the left front. That's the driver's side front caliper. We're now at the left front caliper. Going to do the same thing. Pop the bleeder screw cap off and put my little collection receptacle on with the hose. Have a 10mm wrench ready, and go ahead and pump up the brakes. All right, holding pressure. Open this up. Go ahead and pump again. All right, pump again. All right, pump again. All right, let's do this one more time. Pump again. That's pretty clean right there. No air bubbles. You can let go. Take this off. Once again, wipe anything off that may have dripped. Use brake parts cleaner if needed. Cap this off. Now let's go top off that master cylinder. We've bled 2 calipers and we don't want it to get too low. And then we'll move to the right rear and then the left front to finish it off. Now let's top off the master cylinder, keep it nice and full. Then move to the left rear caliper and bleed that one. And then finally finish off with the right front. Everything's all bled. Let's fill this up one last time. Make sure it's up to the max line and cap it off. Once everything is done, put the wheels back on, torque them to 79 foot-pounds in a cross pattern, and take it for a road test.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.